I live in Lantana, Texas. I've been a resident here for 24 years. I originally was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And as I grew up and got my education completed in electrical engineering, I got my first job with New York Telephone. From there, then I transferred to Southwestern Bell and several other telephone companies. So my careers took me to 7 states, which finally landed me here in Texas. I liked all the places that I lived, but I really liked living in Texas. I like just the way, believe it or not, I like the weather. I like the conditions, I like the people, I like just everything about Texas, so I'm happy to be here. I did have an opportunity to move back east before I retired, and I declined because I like being in Texas. My hobbies that I do enjoy, I like to play golf. I'm becoming a fanatic with pickleball, and also I'm a winemaker. I make a wine as a hobby. I don't do it for to get paid or sell it. Because if I had to do that, then it wouldn't be fun anymore. So those are my 3 key things. But then I'm also involved with Boy Scouts. I'm a Scoutmaster. I'm also a USA swim official. In the Lions Club and on the HOA board in Lantana and Lantana Cares board. So I stay busy. Once my kids grew up and moved out, I felt it was time for me to give back. So that's what I've been doing with my life. Giving back to society and helping young people. I love my Boy Scouts, helping them grow up to become good citizens in this country. And I could say in the last 15 years, I've produced 67 Eagle Scouts. So I'm pretty proud of that. And proud of them, because many of them have become very successful. I got into playing pickleball, maybe 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, it wasn't a very popular sport, at least that I was aware of. I don't know, maybe it's become since. But I was never good at tennis, all right? Matter of fact, I really sucked at tennis. I couldn't play tennis. And then years later, this thing, pickleball came along, and I said, oh, that's very similar to what I did when you had paddleball. So I got involved in pickleball in Lantana here. And it wasn't an easy task because people back then didn't understand the game, thought it had a stupid name, and it does. And we can get into the history of that another time, how it got its name. But we saw a trend coming, okay? And what's unique about pickleball, it's for all ages, okay? As you well know, as being a tennis player, it takes a certain skill level, all right, athletic level to play tennis. Pickleball does not. It's a sport that you can play one-on-one, but it's usually played in a foursome. It doesn't take a lot of training unless you want to, excel and you can go from a novice to a pro. There's that opportunity. But you can play, grandparents can play with their grandchildren, adults, old adults can play with old adults, young people can play with young people. And what I have found fascinating, which really makes my heart happy when you ask about that, I see a generation of young people that struggle to get along, meaning the boys and the girls, okay? And I see when they come to pickleball, they have a ball. And they play in teams, and that it's a good social event. And it makes me feel so good that we have young men and young women playing a sport and having a blast. And I think that's a wonderful feeling, and I think it's also a great way for them to build their relationships. When I was a kid, we used to have dances we went to, boys and girls, and we danced. We don't have that today. So pickleball seems like a place where they can come together and learn to understand each other, get along, it's part of nature to have a relationship with women, boys and girls. So I see that in pickleball. So I see pickleball has so many opportunities for social involvement with people. old, young, middle-aged, doesn't matter. Okay? And for those that want to advance to become semi-pro, pro, there's that opportunity as well to play within your own group. So you can measure your skill level to play with those groups of people. So it's not like you're getting beat up all the time by someone who's very good and you're not. Okay? The rules are not difficult, and I think the game is a lot of fun because it's got some screwy names like staying out of the kitchen. I know this is something with my wife and I when we play, it's always a fun thing because I'm always stepping into the kitchen when I'm not. Since you're in the kitchen, so I'm kind of like the homebody right now because she works and I'm retired. So I said, so you want me to stay out of the kitchen? You don't want me to cook anymore? And of course that's a joke because that's not what it's about. But it's a fun sport. Another aspect of pickleball, like particularly for in Lantana that I see, is the future. You know, we have in Lantana, we have tennis courts, basketball courts, 5 swimming pools, 2 fitness centers. And I see if we could put a pickleball court in Lantana, right, which would be taking one of the 5 tennis courts. In one tennis court, we can put 4 pickleball courts. So we could have 16 people playing at one time in the same space as the max you could have before in tennis if you did doubles. And most times in tennis you play singles. So utilizing of the space, the value proposition, I think all of this is good for us, for our community. So I love the sport. It's good exercise. And more importantly, particularly I'm more sensitive to seniors nowadays, now that I'm kind of one of them. But I see so many of them that become inactive. And I think this is a great way for them to come out and also socialize, okay? I think we realized during the COVID period, right? We had isolation and everybody was isolated, and that wasn't good mentally for us as people, because we need to socialize. So I think pickleball is another way of bringing people together to come out and have fun. So I think it has so many possibilities, that's why I'm all in. Go out and try it. You might be surprised how much fun you have. And you don't have to have a lot of skill, because you can develop the skill. And even if you have some limited mobility issues, you can still play pickleball because you can play within your group. You don't have to have a lot of movement. Now those that want to, you can, but not necessary. Number one. So get out, get active, the weather's nice, play. And there's indoor as well. On a different note, as far as my advice to young people is, as you go through life, think about what you'd like to do, and I know sometimes it's difficult to figure it out, but set a goal for yourself and work towards achieving that goal. And there's always a future for you. You just have to find it.